today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9924. That's 800-575-9924. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Tony Pike here. For a spot to grab a bite with the fam, head to Miamiville Trail Yard. Located on the Little Miami Bike Trail, serving gourmet burgers, wings, salads, 20 beers on tap, and more. They have a huge patio and fireside seating available. It's perfect for the Pike crew and yours too. Check them out at MiamivilleTrailYard.com.
Hear that? It's the sound of a gourmet meal you didn't have to lift a finger to prepare. Because with Factor, you get chef-prepared, ready-to-eat meals delivered. Picture this, a juicy filet mignon you'd find at your favorite steakhouse with roasted broccolini, rich 4-cheese tortellini, and rosemary sage butternut squash. Tastier than your typical Tuesday dinner, right? Get Factor and go from fridge to fork in just 2 minutes. Factor, all your meals made easy.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Get ready for Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale on luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. Hey, this is David Cooper, Vice President at Genesis Diamonds. If you've ever dreamed of wearing a Rolex, you can't miss this special 2-day event, October 18th and 19th. During this event, you can take advantage of special pricing and 0% interest financing on a stunning selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We've got dozens and dozens of Pepsi, Batman, Sprites, Submariners, Daytonas, models you can't find anywhere else. All of our luxury pre-owned Rolexes are in pristine like new condition, some just out of the box. And listen, with the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. That's a $3,000 value. Also, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be on site offering top dollar for your Rolex. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of special financing October 18th and 19th only, and only at Genesis Diamonds on Montgomery Road.
Sterling hanging out, 9 first warning forecast on the big one. Weekend looks to be pretty strong generally. Down to 50 tonight, clear skies tomorrow, mostly clear, low 80s for Saturday, low 80s for Sunday. They say partly cloudy. I'm an optimist. I say partly sunny, but that's just me. I'm no meteorologist. I just read their weather on the radio. And close to 60 the first of the week, which again goes against most of my rules and feeling right about things, and that it's Friday and the weekend for most people, though I'm working. And Sean McMahon, who's producing, is working. I think Taryn Johnson has news here coming up in about 3.5 minutes. He's working. You may be working. But again, on a Friday, I'm contractually obligated to say 59 and mostly cloudy on Monday. It's a long way to get to that, but I just feel weird about it. 63 right now, your severe weather station, 700 WLW. Kevin Carfax, Guys the Movie, is going to join us a little bit later. We'll talk on whatever's new with the theaters. I think Saturday Night Live it's a movie about the very beginning of SNL, before it was called Saturday Night Live even. That should be good. A conversation with him, and who knows, it always gets weird and halfway off the rails. My former partner, or he's still my partner in the On Hiatus Chubby and Stick podcast. A good bit of ground to cover there. Charlie Goldsmith going to talk on Bengals on the road in New York. Well, actually, see, this is another weird thing. The Giants, New York's football Giants, playing our Cincinnati NFL football Bengals Sunday night prime time in New Jersey. Because there's only so much real estate in New York. They had to go to New Jersey, same place the Jets play. Should be a good showdown. I'm hoping that defense can find itself. They have been, thin, weak, not so great. Offense scoring points like, they just have seemingly found their groove and are clicking, which is awesome. But the defense can't be allowing 30-plus points a game and expect the offense to be able to carry it, at least my observation or hallucination. Charlie Goldsmith and I will talk about that later. He's, of course, from Cincinnati.com, covers the Who Day for The Inquirer. Good bit of other stuff to get to as well. And I have, this is weird, conversation last night, and I didn't hear all of it because I was on the road. Lance and Rocky doing the roundtable show, talking about Bengals, and there was some good conversation, which I have a clip of a little later that I will share because I think it's relevant to where the Bengals are now and where they could be towards the end of the season if they can just find a way, right? That's always, the question in life. Can you find a way to get to the next level, regardless of what it is that we're working on? In the Bengals case, it starts Sunday night in Jersey against those New York Giants. Anyway, so in the midst of that, they were talking, and Lance and Rocky both, I think, have similar views on stuff when it comes to best by, use by, sell by dates and leftovers and how long to keep them or not to keep them before they start talking back and breaking out of the refrigerator. I had an issue with food from last weekend's Bengals game and some people hanging out in pizza at the House of Sterling, and then there was a decision that had to be made in regard to leftovers, which I think is a universal question many of us have. And in this building, whether it's people from EBN, I don't know if it's Kid Chris doing this. It could be Shroom, my illegitimate brother. It could be John and what have you from Kiss. I have no idea. It could be our Willie or Sloaney for that matter. But historically, there have been problems with people in the refrigerator here, with people's lunches and leftovers. And this goes back to the middle 90s when I first came back to Ohio from New Orleans to work at what was Channel Z and became Kiss. It hasn't changed. I don't know who's doing it, but we'll talk on leftovers and all those things and some other oddities when it comes to your Friday night Sterling after your 9:30 report. Charlie Goldsmith, Inquirer, beat writer, covering those Bengals, joins me to talk Who Day on the other side of news right here on a Friday Sterling 700 WLW.
News, traffic, and weather. News Radio 700 WLW, Cincinnati.
One section of I-75 about to close all weekend. This is the 9:30 report. I'm Matt Reese. Breaking now. In 30 minutes, for a second weekend in a row, we're in for some major traffic trouble. Construction's going to close 75 northbound at Norwood Lateral at 10 o'clock.
All lanes of I-75 northbound going to be shut down starting at 10 o'clock tonight as the Ohio Department of Transportation gets to work on fixing a dip in the highway. You will be able to exit onto the eastbound side of the Norwood Lateral, but you will not be able to get off at Paddock and then work your way back around to 75. This is the second and possibly final weekend of work to make these repairs.
We'll be able to update everybody come Monday morning. If they need a third weekend to complete the work, that would be probably the last weekend of the month. So it won't be next weekend. It would probably be the weekend after, so in 2 weeks.
Kathleen Fuller with ODOT. I'm Ricky Uccino, News Radio 700 WLW.
All right, checking all the traffic conditions right now, and traffic and weather together. No major tie-ups just yet, but it is going to be slow down 75 through the Norwood area tonight in about a half hour from now.
Now the latest forecast from the Train Heating and Cooling Weather Center on News Radio 700 WLW.
In the forecast, as we make our way to Saturday morning, we'll see clear skies, a 7 a.m. temperature of 52. Our Saturday, then, is going to be mostly sunny. My high is 79. At night, a few clouds around and a low of 60. Our Sunday, partly cloudy and windy. We'll see a slight chance of a shower. My high at 78. From your severe weather station, I'm 9 First Warning Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh. News Radio 700 WLW.
Temp is 64 degrees in Cincinnati. Not known yet whether there will be any charges, but a teacher at St. Xavier High School has been fired. Springfield Township Police say they're investigating after the school contacted them with information about what the police say in a statement was possible inappropriate contact and communication involving a staff member and a student. No other details have been released. Latest on the campaign trail, Donald Trump in Aurora, Colorado today. He pledged to invoke a law from the late 1700s that gives the president the power to detain invaders.
In Aurora, Colorado, Donald Trump spoke of an army of invaders from Venezuela targeting apartments.
They threatened the tenants at gunpoint.
But Aurora's police chief calls Trump's claims about the city grossly exaggerated. Still, Trump pledged if he's elected,
I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that.
It was a power last used in World War II to detain and deport Germans, Italians, and Japanese. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Aurora, Colorado's police chief says the city is still very safe despite what the former president says. Chief Todd Chamberlain says that contrary to what Trump has repeated at rallies, Aurora has not been overrun by a Venezuelan prison gang. Chief acknowledging there's some gang activity, but says they aim to make sure it doesn't grow. Trump had claimed the gang has taken over an apartment complex in that Denver suburb, and police say there's no evidence, though, that that's happened. Update on Game 5 of the Guardians-Tigers tomorrow. That game's been changed in terms of start time from 8:08 at night to 1:08 in the afternoon because they expect rain tomorrow night in Cleveland. Winner of that game is going to play the Yankees in the ALCS starting Monday night in New York. In Los Angeles right now, Padres and Dodgers. The Dodgers leading the Padres 1-0. They are in the fifth inning, and the winner plays the Mets in the National League Championship Series coming up. It's 9:35. Next news coming up at 10 o'clock. Matt Reese, News Radio 700 WLW.
700 WLW Cincinnati. Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now number one for podcasting. 700 WLW, an iHeartRadio station.
In the criminal justice system, prosecutors bring the charges, and judges make sure justice is done. Prosecutors have to be tough, and judges have to be fair. And in the Ohio criminal justice system, Megan Shanahan has been both a prosecutor and a judge. Sending hundreds of dangerous criminals to prison, no prosecutor was tougher than Megan Shanahan.
A child rapist was sent to prison today. Before she won the case, prosecutor Megan Shanahan told the jury that they should...
And then, Megan Shanahan became a judge. With more than a dozen years on the bench, Judge Shanahan has presided over some of the most difficult criminal and civil cases in Ohio. You want law and order on the Ohio Supreme Court? Then you want Judge Megan Shanahan, a defender of the Constitution. Shanahan, Judge Megan Shanahan for Ohio Supreme Court.
Paid for by Shanahan for Ohio.
Home values in Cincinnati are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked, so you're thinking about selling. It's time, except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial investors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while the value is high, but you stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Sounds smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, secure retirement, whatever you want. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-522-5700. 800-522-5700.
Here we are. It's the weekend. Sterling back on the big one. 700 WLW. Charlie Goldsmith, Cincinnati.com for the Enquirer. Covers Reds, covers Bengals. Headed to New York to take on those Giants like the Bengals. But he'll be writing about it, talking about it on camera, off camera. And here he is. Charlie, how's everything? And what about this 1-4 Bengals team? It's a team that has been so close to getting wins, but still 1-4 on the bottom of the AFC North. Headed to New York against a 2-3 Giants team that, I mean, at this point, it looks like all the sports books are saying the Bengals are favored. So clearly they got a shot. What do you think?
Well, the Bengals had a shot last week, even against one of the best teams in football. And the Giants, while they had a very nice win last week, no one's confusing them with that. I mean, some of the best ball Burrow's played. It's, I think, the best and most sophisticated the offensive scheme has looked. But the defense is something that we've spent all week talking about, that the Bengals will just have a lot to prove with for the rest of the season. You know, this week, though, they're going up against the Giants team without its top pass catcher. Their top rusher is questionable, so it certainly presents an opportunity.
The injuries have been an issue for the Bengals. They certainly seem to be for the Giants as well. But this defense, seemingly, is it just a lack of investment in paying people to stay who have gotten their chops that would be higher up on that depth chart, if you will? Because it seems like the next man down is not what it used to be depth-wise for the Who Day on defense.
It's a little bit of everything, like breezing through the positions, the defensive line, another year of experience for Sam Hubbard, another year of experience for B.J. Hill. I don't want to say they're aging out of their primes, but they're another year past maybe the center point of their primes. The linebackers have been fine, but Mike Hilton, you can put in that same category as B.J. Hill and Sam Hubbard. Over at safety, they lost Jesse Bates. Von Bell has not looked like the same player that he was at his peak. And then a number of these draft picks, you know, Jordan Battle, DJ Turner, Cam Taylor, Britt, Miles Murphy, you know, they just cut Zach Carter. It's a bunch of guys who haven't filled the roles the Bengals drafted them to fill at this stage of their career. So the end result is a defense that's not quite the sum of its parts, or maybe it is the sum of its parts and, you know, the sum's not enough.
Talking to Charlie Goldsmith, Cincinnati.com, covers Bengals for the Enquirer. In New York, it will be Sunday night, prime time, Bengals-Giants looking to do it. We talked about Burrow in the offense. They seem to have found that groove. Whatever it is, if it's third gear and cruising, and like you said, they showed a lot of technical changes and schemes that make this offense seem to be about as good as I've ever seen it, but it's still a challenge. You can't put that completely on Burrow and their shoulders on offense to keep a defense down like that.
Yeah, there's not much more that Burrow and the offense can be doing. They've had stretches where they've run the ball well. They've incorporated their tight ends. I think Jamar Chase is playing his best football. Again, Burrow's right up there with as well as he's played. You know, I guess the stat that sums it up is they've scored 30 points in each of the last 3 games, and the defense, as a result, has taken it upon themselves. They've been saying, we got to play better, we got to tackle better, got to do this, got to do that. And, I mean, I guess that'll be those will be the factors that shape what the rest of the season looks like.
What has the mood been like in and around Paycor and training facility this last week or so? Because they were just that close in overtime last week, which would have been an incredible win. Turns out to be a devastating loss in that situation. There's a lot for them mentally and emotionally to say, okay, on to the next one, being New York Sunday night.
I mean, Zach Taylor's first words in his press conference, right, coming off the loss, was sick to my stomach. And, of course, that's how these guys are feeling. Now, talking to us, seeing, you know, being around practice, they've done a good job of masking that, of hiding that, of kind of their, you know, message has been, well, if we just do this on this play and this on that play and look at it as a sequence of one play after another instead of some sweeping trends. But that's been the message. But at the end of the day, at some point, you just got to get a win to validate the whole thing. And that's what makes this weekend so big.
Where Mims was out for a minute or two, depth down on that side with him, which is already down a level with Mims as good as he has been. Are they looking to somehow rectify that situation from outside, or is there nothing that they can do? Because there's a big drop-off from Mims to 61.
Well, they added a free agent off the Falcons practice squad, Andrew Stuber, and that's kind of been their approach. You know, they lost a backup offensive guard / tackle, Jackson Kirkland, for the year, so that's another hit to their depth, and it'll be Mims, and then it'll be Ford, and frankly, then it'll just keep being next man up, going, I guess, with Stuber, followed by Devin Cochran, who are guys that didn't even play well in the preseason, or guys that we haven't even really seen much of or heard about much. So that's kind of just where they're at from a depth perspective.
Obviously, we're in a new era within a season that's gone now 17 weeks. We look back historically, 0-3 starts. Not a lot of teams get to the playoffs, let alone anywhere in depth to it. Now, 17-game season. You look back, Rocky Boyman, of course, early 2000s with the Titans. That team was, I believe, 1-4, 0-3, and then ended up getting into a situation where they made the playoffs. So the Bengals have to have in the back of their mind in continuing that this season is not done, and it is week by week, but they've got to string together some wins or it's going to be an ugly winter in the tri-state, yeah?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, again, the offense has the ability to do that. The offense has really been playing championship level football, and the defense just been playing, top 5, top 10 draft pick level football, and it's been outweighing what the offense is doing. But, getting some guys healthier, which the Bengals have been on the defensive side of the ball, the offense keeps doing what it's doing. If the defense kind of steadies and stabilizes out, the team will be fine enough to give itself a shot to, be playing meaningful football in January and then maybe sneak into the postseason and see where it goes from there.
What have I not asked that's relevant? Charlie Goldsmith, Cincinnati.com, talking Bengals and Giants Sunday night in Jersey, which still seems weird to me, but that's a whole nother conversation. What's relevant that I haven't gotten to? Because, you live this, breathe this, and follow it because that's your world.
I mean, a thing I alluded to earlier was the Giants superstar rookie receiver Malik Neighbors is going to miss this game, and that kind of really takes a big blow to the Giants' ability to kind of gash the Bengals' defense with big plays down the field. They don't have it. Have proven they have the ability to do that. So the Giants will probably try to pound the rock. They'll try to make it a time of possession game. They'll use their quarterback in the run game as well. And if they can grind out some offense that way against the Bengals, who are definitely going to have to create some pass rush to keep things consistent.
Well, I really appreciate you making time. I know you got family stuff. You're headed to New York. It's going to be a Sunday night primetime Bengals and Giants. You can see him and read him, Cincinnati.com. He's on X. He's everywhere else, podcast and everything. You are a man about town. Charlie Goldsmith, we appreciate you making time, and hopefully you can help fly home with a happy Bengals team and a win for them come Sunday.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Take care of yourself. More Sterling coming back. Charlie Goldsmith, I appreciate it. 700 WLW.
It's a showdown in the Sunshine State. UC's 3-2 Bearcats take their game to Florida to vanquish UCF's Knights.
Oh my goodness, what a hit.
It's big time Big 12 action.
2-5, out.
Catch the call live from Orlando.
65-yard touchdown.
Coverage starts tomorrow at 2:30 on 700 WLW and 700 WLW's live stream on the free iHeartRadio app.
Homeowners, the Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto is also lowering mortgage rates big time. Eddie here. It's the best chance in 2 years to do a cash-out refi and unlock all that equity at an amazing rate. Loan Pronto has fixed loans under 5% APR, the lowest in 2 years. You can get a fast refi and get thousands in cash. Use it to pay off your credit cards and all your other loans. You'll end up with one payment, and for most homeowners, they save over $850 every month. If you want to keep your original mortgage intact, ask about the Loan Pronto Express Equity Line of Credit. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 513-800-1550, loanpronto.com, 513-800-1550. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, MLS, consumeraccess.org.
In today's Marketers Report, Erica Taylor, Chief Marketing Officer of Genentech, weighs in on audio's ability to reach any audience.
Everyone is listening somewhere, somehow. So it's a great way to take something very precise in what we're trying to do to reach patients with something that I think we can all agree is somewhat broad in reaching many, many different audiences.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Men over 45, do you have a frequent, urgent need to urinate or a weak flow? Do you suffer from an enlarged prostate or BPH? Know your options. If BPH medications are bothering you or you're worried about invasive surgery, ask about the UroLift system. The UroLift system is an outpatient, minimally invasive procedure. It reopens the channel with no cutting and provides rapid symptom relief with no new, sustained erectile or ejaculatory dysfunction, as shown in a clinical study. Go to urolift.com and click on Find a Physician for a doctor near you. Urolift.com. UROLIFT.com. Most common side effects are temporary and can include discomfort when urinating, urgency, inability to control the urge, pelvic pain, and some blood in the urine. Rare side effects, including bleeding and infection, may lead to a serious outcome and may require intervention. If you suffer from symptoms of an enlarged prostate or BPH, the UroLift system is a proven alternative to BPH medication or invasive surgery. Visit urolift.com and click on Find a Physician to speak to a doctor to see if you're a candidate for the UroLift system.
The Bush Guide, cold and smooth survival skills. For a successful stint in the great outdoors, pack accordingly. Place heavy essentials near your spine for stability in rough terrain, with light items near the bottom. Now, you may be wondering, where does the Bush Light go? In your stomach. Bush. Head for the mountains.
Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2024, Anheuser-Busch. Busch Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9924. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9924. That's 800-575-9924. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 original stations for you to explore right now, like Coffee Shop Radio.
Bad habits lead to you. Yeah, they were all yellow.
Just search Coffee Shop Radio and listen now on your free iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
Ohio, ready for some quick mental health facts? Let's go. Nearly 2 million Ohioans live with a mental health condition. In the U.S., more than 50% of people will be diagnosed with a mental illness in their lifetime. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. So why are some of us still stigmatizing people living with a mental health condition when we know all of this? Let's listen to the facts and beat the stigma. Ohio, challenge what you know about mental health at beatthestigma.org.
The Kenton County Haunted Fairgrounds is right around the corner, starting October 11th and 12th and wrapping on the 18th and 19th. They have a demolition derby, food vendors, haunted attractions, and so much more. Visit them today at the Kenton County Haunted Fairgrounds Facebook for all the information.
Live from the 700 WLW studios. Driven by Mike Castrucci Jeep in Fairfax. Now recognized as the largest volume Jeep dealer in Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Mike Castrucci Jeep is the #1 Jeep dealer in the tri-state. That's Mike Castrucci Jeep in Fairfax.
You know, it's been a tough couple of weeks when it comes to horrible bad weather and damage and madness and mayhem and loss of life and houses lost and damaged. And whether it was Helene and North Carolina in the mountains and so many other places through Georgia. People here even, we had thousands without power after it ripped through the tri-state up to the Miami Valley. Georgia had issues. Florida, obviously, where it came ashore. And then, of course, you know, effectively a week, 2 weeks later, whatever it's been, it seems like it's just a matter of days. Milton picks up steam, turns into this monster hurricane that has ravaged parts of Florida as it ripped its way across, seemingly not causing major disruption to Orlando proper, which is bewildering and a blessing. I mean, you couldn't hope for much better in that regard. And then the rest of the state got sort of clobbered as it made its way off into the Atlantic. And still with rain and stuff and wind coming back through it, it was the last hours of it sort of making its way up and further north. And I've heard this type of conversation and question in the past about say, where there are wildfires or earthquakes or mudslides in other parts of the country, California and so forth. And I don't know, because of where we are in proximity in the tri-state compared to out west, and so many more people probably with family and friends and vacation destinations in history up and down 75, getting to Florida, maybe to the Carolinas, certainly, and our connection to it. I mean, I have friends and family with vacation properties or second homes, or have relocated forever in retirement and now working maybe from home, even in that after pandemic times. Are like, well, hell, we can live in Florida. Why not? And they are. And they've had to navigate it's hard to get insurance, or you got to pay through the nose, or you can't get any insurance. And then this storm comes, and all the misinformation, disinformation, talking about governmental agencies not being there from the federal level, when it starts with local authority, county, city, state, and then to say Ohio Task Force 1, which was in Florida, then went to the Carolinas. We had them on last week. And then a couple of one half of that group from Ohio Task Force 1, as I understand it, traded off to come back and take a break. And that's first responders from the tri-state and the Miami Valley and beyond. And there are a number of these teams that are out there around the country that are there when the worst case happens. And they've sent now another mobilization, I think another 40, maybe 80 people, plus all the equipment, all the help for search and rescue, back down to Florida to help with that. And the misinformation and disinformation has come from our former president. And I know people immediately, don't talk bad about Trump. But I got to tell you, I have friends and people down in Florida and in the Carolinas. And if you've watched the news, people have said, they're not going to accept help, or they don't trust it because they think the federal government's somehow going to take their property or their home, whatever, in the midst of trying to get some type of assistance to people in their worst time. Perhaps in their lives. You want to escape with your life. You can't be, and I can't be, and the people we care about and other humans and pets and everything else can't be really replaced, obviously. Stuff can. But if you don't have insurance, if you're underinsured, and you're in that transition period, and I've dealt with it in a tornadic situation when tornado ravaged the area, you're out and no power for a week, 10 days. And then there's questions maybe about the water after a flood, which we've seen along the Ohio River and so many other tributaries and so forth around the tri-state and so on. It is dangerous in that situation. You go, can you drink water? Well, where's the water coming from? Do you have a generator? Where's the lights? All the simple things that you think of and take for granted in our everyday lives when they're gone. And if you don't have that water, whether it's to shower, to cook, to drink, to stay hydrated, which is life itself, right? And then the idea of air conditioning or heat, depending, and a roof over your head, things get dangerous fast. And people don't always, and I can tell you from personal experience, I found the goodness in people's hearts and in my neighbors, and I've heard this story time and time again in times of trouble and disaster. Family and friends and neighbors, forgetting political persuasion, forgetting all kinds of other stuff that may separate us. Some people may have a neighbor for 10 years or more and they don't ever talk. They barely make eye contact. When hell happens, out of the woodwork we come and we do good things, right? But in a time like this, when the seeds are sown to distrust the government who's coming in to help, that our tax dollars are there to support in our times of need when it's worst, that's despicable and disturbing as all get out to me. But it lends my thought process to another thing. Because what I have also heard is that how many times do you replenish a beach? How many times do you pay to rebuild? How many times? We have deserts, by the way, and we do have people who live in deserts. I mean, you look at Phoenix, you look at Las Vegas, which is where I lived for a while, and you kind of go, this is almost uninhabitable. I can't believe anybody actually stopped and went, yeah, this is the place we should live. It's 115 in the summer. Winters are great. But without air conditioning and without all the comforts of humanity that we know in modern technology, it's almost not sustainable, right? So if we're in a situation where you can't get insurance because the insurance companies have bailed out, because they're in the business of making money as much as they might want to make you and me whole again when we pay our premiums on time and in full. And they may raise the rates and spread out over their entire roster of clients or customer base, increase cost for the outgo of money when the worst happens: tornadoes, fires, floods, everything that is related to hurricane in these floods and storms that we have dealt with, and wildfires and other places. But if you can't get insurance, and in some cases people choose either not to buy it because they're going to roll the dice and try to cover the cost, or then have the handout for the government. Well, I just simply ask you this, and it's a very delicate, uncomfortable question. And I've had to talk with people I know who are in the circumstance now in Florida. And I've had other friends in Southern California and even Northern California with wildfires that have alluded to the same thing. If they have a hard time getting the insurance and they don't pay, they want help. Well, how often and how much help do we, the people, give to a population that is living someplace that is not sustainable long term, to cough up more money to try to build a house? And the complaint people have is, I don't want the government regulations telling me how to build and fix my house and so forth. It's going to be too expensive. Well, a lot of those regulations are in place because they want the storm to not destroy the house. And if you're going to be there, you don't want the flooding, so you lift it up off the ground and you try to fortify it. Or be like the guy who got all kinds of attention in social media and all over the news, and I'd like to see, I don't know if you saw this or not, a guy Milton was approaching. He strapped down his house with those ratchet ties all across his roof with pillars into the ground concrete to try to protect it. I want to see how his house did compared to those around him. He had been through it before. I think he said he had come from Puerto Rico, so they were familiar with storms. I'm wondering if that helped. And, you got a roof or something next door, how that house held up compared to the one tethered down. It's a big question. On the other side of your 10 o'clock report, I'm just curious. Where do you stop giving support? I don't mean life-saving support. Clearly, we want to be there in every way we possibly can, because I would hope someone would be there for me and my people, just like you and your people, family, I mean, us, all of us, if in fact the worst happened. But when it comes to rebuilding and repopulating an area that's had a storm and then another storm and then another storm, how many times and how much money before you go, you know what, maybe this isn't a safe place to be. Maybe that's not a good investment, not just for the individual. It's clearly the case for insurance companies. They're thinking it's not a good investment for them because it's costing them more in some cases to insure people in those environments than it would be to cut and run, which is what they've done. They're not servicing insurance in some cases in some of these areas because it's too dangerous. So I'm curious, like in Ohio, there's the Ohio Fair Plan, I think is what it's called. If you can't get regular insurance for your property, the Ohio Fair Plan will give you basic minimal coverage when you can't get coverage from a big name carrier or any major carrier like that, because Ohio doesn't want you to be there completely screwed, and they sort of subsidize that and you pay into it and it's a big fund. Should that be the case in Florida, California, the Carolinas, or wherever this stuff is happening more and more? That's what I want to know on the other side of your 10 o'clock report. Matt Reese has the news. We'll come back. You got the football Bearcats on the road in Central Florida. How amazing is that? They'll play football tomorrow afternoon in Orlando and on the big one. The Bengals on the road in New York, Sunday night football against the Giants, and a whole lot more Sterling coming up on a Friday night here, 700 WLW Cincinnati.
News, traffic, and weather. News Radio 700 WLW, Cincinnati.
A stretch of I-75 is now closed all weekend. This is the 10 o'clock report. I'm Matt Reese. Breaking now. It starts right now, 10 o'clock. For a second weekend in a row, construction's going to be closing down 75 northbound at the Norwood Lateral. It means backups. We saw them last weekend. We're going to see them again this time.
All lanes of I-75 northbound going to be shut down as the Ohio Department of Transportation gets to work on fixing a dip in the highway. You will be able to exit onto the eastbound side of the Norwood Lateral, but you will not be able to get off at Paddock and then work your way back around to 75. This is the second and possibly final weekend of work to make these repairs.
Will be able to update everybody come Monday morning. If they need a third weekend to complete the work, that would be probably the last weekend of the month. So it won't be next weekend. It would probably be the weekend after, so in 2 weeks.
Kathleen Fuller with ODOT. I'm Rick Ucino, News Radio 700 WLW.
All right, now the latest traffic and weather together, and you guessed it, we have a backup on 75. Backed up to Mitchell Avenue northbound because of the shutdown of 75 for the construction. Otherwise, no other major delays to report on this Friday night.
Now, the latest forecast from the Advanced Dentistry Weather Center. Advanced Dentistry, the judgment-free dental experience you've been looking for. NoFearDentist.com.
In the tri-state weather, heading to Saturday morning, clear and a morning low of 52. Now, our Saturday is going to be sunny, mild, and a high of 79. At night, fair skies, and we drop to 60. Now, Sunday's partly cloudy, windy, a slight chance of a shower, and a high of 78. From your severe weather station, I'm 9 First Warning Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh. News Radio 700 WLW.
61 degrees right now in Cincinnati. Not known yet whether there will be charges, but a teacher at St. Xavier High School has been fired. Springfield Township Police investigating after the school contacted them with info about what the police say in a statement was possible inappropriate contact and communication involving a staff member and a student. No other details have been released. Now that Reggie Harris has resigned from Cincinnati City Council to take a job with the Biden administration, his replacement's been named. It's Cheviot Democrat Evan Nolan, who has been chosen by Council member Mika Owens to serve the rest of Reggie Harris's term. It's causing an uproar like the one we saw over Springfield, Ohio, when former President Trump, running mate J.D. Vance, made those false claims about Haitian immigrants. Former President Trump's claims about gang takeovers in Colorado under challenge tonight.
Trump traveling to Aurora, Colorado, a city he has falsely claimed is being overrun by migrant crime. Aurora's own Republican mayor saying that is not true.
I will rescue Aurora and every town that has been invaded and conquered. These towns have been conquered.
For weeks, Trump has said Venezuelan gangs overrun the city. The Republican mayor pushing back, saying Aurora is a considerably safe city, not a city overrun by Venezuelan gangs. Adding concerns about Venezuelan activity have been grossly exaggerated.
That's ABC's Rachel Scott. Update on Game 5. Cleveland Guardians and Detroit Tigers tomorrow. They're going to play that in the afternoon instead of at nighttime because rain's expected tomorrow night in Cleveland. Winner's going to play the New York Yankees Monday night starting the ALCS, and that'll be in New York. Tonight, Game 5 of the Padres-Dodgers series. Dodgers leading the Padres. It's 1-0 in the seventh inning, and the winner's going to play the New York Mets in the NLCS on Sunday. Closing bell on Wall Street today, the Dow gained 409 points to 42,863. S&P 500 up 34. NASDAQ up 60. It's 10:05. Our next news at 10:30. Matt Reese, News Radio 700 WLW.
This report is sponsored by Rhino Shield.
Tired of painting your home year after year? With Rhino Shield's 25-year warranty, you'll never have to paint your home again, guaranteed. Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino. Call 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
In the criminal justice system, prosecutors bring the charges, and judges make sure justice is done. Prosecutors have to be tough, and judges have to be fair. And in the Ohio criminal justice system, Megan Shanahan has been both a prosecutor and a judge. Sending hundreds of dangerous criminals to prison, no prosecutor was tougher than Megan Shanahan.
A child rapist was sent to prison today. Before she won the case, prosecutor Megan Shanahan told the jury that they should...
And then, Megan Shanahan became a judge. With more than a dozen years on the bench, Judge Shanahan has presided over some of the most difficult criminal and civil cases in Ohio. You want law and order on the Ohio Supreme Court? Then you want Judge Megan Shanahan, a defender of the Constitution. Shanahan, Judge Megan Shanahan for Ohio Supreme Court.
Paid for by Shanahan for Ohio.
I don't know what's scarier, the spot your pet just left on the carpet or the idea of you cleaning it up.
Good thing you can call my buddies at Zerorez Carpet and Outdoor Cleaning. Cleaning to get your home insanely clean. Their patented Zero Water is a non-toxic cleaner that breaks up grease, neutralizing odors, and help remove all those spots. Take advantage of their spectacular savings. You get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $129. When you mention me, Bill Cunningham, easily schedule online, ZerorezCincy.com. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's a smarter and lasting clean.
Homeowners, the Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit by lowering mortgage rates big time. Hey, it's Eddie. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Whether you got your loan last month or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto and dump that high-rate loan. You can lock in at lower rates with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi, and even if you're in process with another lender, give Loan Pronto a call. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call now, 513-800-1550 or loanpronto.com, or call 513-800-1550. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, MLSconsumeraccess.org.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 original stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Coffee Shop Radio.
It's true, my bad habits lead to you.
Acoustic rock and the greatest singer-songwriters of the 90s to now.
All night, come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
And Coffee Shop Radio goes commercial-free every weekend.
That was when I ruled the world.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search Coffee Shop Radio, and listen now.
iHeartRadio.
Free never sounded so good.
Hey, how you doing? Glad you're along. It's a Friday night, Sterling, hanging out, 700 WLW. Matt Reese with news. I think there's going to be a tag-in, tag-out, sort of to use a wrestling term. Whitney Harris, I believe, comes in 10:30. We'll find out together in about 21 and a half minutes if you're keeping score at home, which I know you may be. Or maybe you're on the road. A lot of people dealing with issues. 75 north, shutting down like last weekend as they try to fix the notorious dip because of the collapsing sewage thing under 75 right near the Norwood Lateral. So if it's not closed, if you're not already sitting in traffic and you're headed north on 75 that way, you may be, and you might want to seek alternate route to get where you're going northbound in that situation. Details on that more coming up. And if you're in it, then I'm sorry. We tried to warn you earlier. And we'll keep doing it because we're here to help. We got Kevin Carfax guys at the movies a little bit later, oddly enough, talking about new movies. And a lot of other stuff to get to. Now, I don't know how soon is too soon. I feel kind of, frankly, dirty and uncomfortable mentioning this in the manner in which I am when people still are not necessarily fully getting back to their residences or areas in Florida and where other damage has happened with these most recent storms. Helene, Milton, in the last couple of days, wreaking havoc. Is it ripped across Florida? Orlando spared some of the worst of that miraculously. It's weird how you'll see, like with the tornado, one house just destroyed, another one not so much, and so on, and flooding here and not flooding there. It's difficult. In Florida, it's a challenge just in general. And the football Bearcats Big 12 action at Central Florida in Orlando tomorrow, 3:30 kickoff on the big one. The full-on coverage starts at 2:30. We weren't sure if they were going to get in there and be able to play or not, but word came down. They were like, no, Central Florida's playing, and back to school they are, and they'll be getting it on tomorrow. But the question of questions is this. All the disinformation, misinformation that federal people are having to navigate and fight in communities, and local authorities having to fight to get the word out because our former President Trump is saying that FEMA and the federal government's going to take people's houses and isn't really there to help people is bewildering in the midst of this horrible sort of carnage scenario. But my question to you is this. How many times and how much money should be doled out by the American people in areas where it is hurricane after hurricane, season after season? If you're lucky, it skips a season, skips 2 seasons, people rebuild. Maybe they can get insurance. They got to pay through the nose if they can even find coverage. And in many cases, insurance companies are leaving because it's too costly for them. They're in the business to make money. And if they can't spread the risk out among all of their customers across the board to cover the cost of other outgoing expenses for claims, then it's a no-win situation. That's why people in Florida, parts of California, and other areas aren't able to get insurance coverage for their property. That's an issue. So my question is simply this. How many times and how much? Because, when hell happens, when there's a tornado here in the tri-state or a flood, you want that help. I want that help. We need that help. Insurance, aside from the government helping as well. And that's what Ohio Task Force 1 does. That's what FEMA does, and so forth in the midst of it. 513-749-7000. 800, the big one. Talk back, iHeartRadio app. Tap the app, click on the microphone, leave a message. I want to know what you think. I mean, how many times? 3 times, 4 times, same house, same neighborhood, same area, different hurricane, different flooding, and different fire in other parts of the country. How many times should the federal government, that is your tax money, my tax money, Sean McMahon's tax money, Willie's tax money, the list goes on and on of people coughing up the cash. You help them and you want help when you need it, right? We can't turn our back on these people, or can we? And the reality is maybe some areas just shouldn't be lived in because they're either too dangerous already or becoming so, too costly, too unsafe, too regularly an occasion. And although it's paradise, right, at the same time, who doesn't want to live there? Who doesn't want a vacation there in the midst of the turmoil, though? 513-749-7000, 800, the big one. Talk back, the iHeartRadio app. I'm also on X, or what used to be known as Twitter, at Sterling Radio. Let's get to Aurora and Gary first with Sterling on 700 WLW. Gary, I appreciate you holding. How many times, how much money in these horrible disaster circumstances should we, the people, come to the rescue with coughing up cash to help rebuild?
At the point it is right now, 0. It is known going on when you make these purchases that this is going to happen.
What do you do? What do you do, though? I mean, it's paradise. You want a vacation there. How do you tell people, no, we're going to help others, but not you because you happen to live in a spot that got the worst out of this?
That's crazy, because I was just testing this before I heard your program to my daughter. And her sister-in-law is down there, Ollie. Hey, and God bless. Hope everybody's all right. But you live in paradise. You know it's going to get hit. That's your risk. That's at your expense. At this point, I say 0. I'm sorry. God forgive me. And don't take me wrong, everybody. But it is going to happen. And you're going into it. If you can go into it full pockets of money and you can rebuild when it happens, hey, great for you. You got paradise. You have the dream. But for me and us taxpayers, no. There has got to be a limit. You know what I'm saying, Sterling?
I think so. I don't know where the line is, and I'd hate to be the one that has to say, nah, baby, nah, when someone's in need. And right now, you got people who aren't even taking help because they think, because they've heard all kinds of ridiculous BS, that the government's somehow out to get them when they're there to help, which is just bewildering. Gary, I appreciate the call and the perspective. I hope the dog's good. I heard the dog in the background.
Can I add one more thing, Sterling?
Of course. And what kind of dog do you have? I was hearing that.
I'm not cold-hearted, because here in Indiana, Ohio, hey, we're still in the tornado belt.
That's right. So what about that? I mean, there's money that comes to the, like, I didn't qualify for any FEMA money or anything like that. I had insurance coverage, and sometimes you just take the hit, you take the deductible, and you carry on and handle your business if you're fortunate enough to or unfortunate enough to have to deal with that. So then you tell people who are your neighbors that they got hit by a tornado, that tough luck?
That's different circumstances. That is so random.
Well, the hurricane's random too, right?
No. When you're living down in that peninsula, you're going to get hit. Like you said prior, before me on the phone with you, it's a matter of time.
Gotcha.
It's just a matter of time.
Gotcha.
It's going to happen. How many times? I say now to answer that question again.
So this is it, right? Help them now and then no more.
Well,
so you're already him-hauling. It's hard, right? Hard to tell somebody no.
That is a tough decision, but when people are in need, yeah, we help. That's what we do. We're Americans.
That's right.
On the now current standing, that is a bad zone to be in.
Well, there's no question. It's becoming more regular and more severe. Gary, great call, man. I appreciate you listening and being part of the show. To Hillsborough and Steve with Sterling on the big one. Another Steve and room for a couple others. 749-7800, the big one. You can talk back. Tap that microphone, the iHeartRadio app, and talk to us this Friday night. Sterling, Steve, what about it? How much does the federal government cough up to help people in this horrible circumstance when it comes to helping rebuild? If they don't have insurance, they chose not to buy it or couldn't get it, whose fault is that, I ask?
If you got a government $35 trillion in debt, I think we've helped all that we can help. If you don't have the money to help, you don't have the money to help.
We don't have the money to do a lot of the things we continue to do, and no one wants to pay taxes. I don't know how we deal with that then.
Well, here's the problem. If you think about it, okay, so do I build a $1 million house on a 30-year mortgage in a hurricane zone? That's a bad decision, correct?
Yeah, I would say right now it's not exactly the safest spot to be. Hell, even there now, I mean, I knew people who had damage that cost them a couple grand with trees falling on their house and cars in their drive and out near their barns just within a 10-minute, 20-minute walk from my house.
Well, sure, and that happens to me in southern Ohio when we got the winds from Hurricane Helene. I put the service back on the guy's house, and fixed his siding and all that, and it cost him money,
Right.
But, let's face it, there are certain zones where if you're going to invest all this money, you're either going to have the money yourself personally to rebuild from these, or you're going to have to pay this insurance. But I don't see how you can ask for the government to come and step in, because when you ask the government to do anything, you're just asking for you and me to come in and pay for it.
Right.
That's the same thing.
I totally get what you're saying. It's a tough putt to mix metaphors. When you look at it and you just kind of and I appreciate the call, Steve. Thank you. And the perspective is fantastic. We'll take a break. We got some commerce and we got Steve and a couple other people. Room for you. 749-7800, the big one. We'll keep this going a little bit. It's a tough spot. My sometimes partner, she's not working with me this weekend, Donna D., who you hear with me on weekends and so forth and doing other stuff. She has family in the Daytona area, and they came here to avoid Milton, and I think are probably, if not headed back, already back or will be, to make sure that all their stuff is safe, as secure as it can be, and get back up on their feet again, which is a nightmare scenario. Thankfully, they were able to get to Cincinnati to be able to get a safe roof over their head and a safe place to be before heading home. The question is, how much help from you and your tax dollars in areas where storm after storm after storm, devastation, over and over and over again? Insurance companies aren't staying there. If insurance companies are making people pay rates that they can't afford and they're choosing not to have coverage, or they just can't get coverage because the insurance company goes, you know what? It's like playing in traffic with a tornado spun off of a hurricane or flooding and storm surge. They know better than anybody the reality of the circumstance. If it's not a good investment for the insurer, should it be an investment for us as Americans and we the people to take care and rebuild areas that are devastated time and time again? It's a Friday, Sterling. Your chance to speak your mind. I want to know what you think on the other side. 513-749-7800, the big one, 700 WLW.
Meanwhile, in the Enchanted Forest, Eddie and Rocky, hey, you're walking the wrong way.
Yeah, we can't do our show today.
Something came up.
But your millions of loyal fans are counting on you to entertain them after a long, arduous day.
Dude, we've got front row tickets to see Little Red Riding Hood's all-new review.
You're disappointing your fans for some kiddie show?
She's no kiddie. Just look at her flyer.
Whoa. Got an extra ticket?
Eddie and Rock.
Monday afternoon at 3
on 700 WLW.
In this week's Marketers Report, we hear about the importance of local radio from Allison Griffin, head of marketing at State Farm.
iHeart has such a broad broadcast reach that is local, and for us to be able to touch customers with a local feel but at a national scale is so efficient and important for us.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, trusted influencers, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Men over 45, do you have a frequent, urgent need to urinate or a weak flow? Do you suffer from an enlarged prostate or BPH? Know your options. If BPH medications are bothering you or you're worried about invasive surgery, ask about the UroLift system. The UroLift system is an outpatient, minimally invasive procedure. It reopens the channel with no cutting and provides rapid symptom relief with no new, sustained erectile or ejaculatory dysfunction, as shown in a clinical study. Go to urolift.com and click on Find a Physician for a doctor near you. Urolift.com. UROLIFT.com. Most common side effects are temporary and can include discomfort when urinating, urgency, inability to control the urge, pelvic pain, and some blood in the urine. Rare side effects, including bleeding and infection, may lead to a serious outcome and may require intervention. If you suffer from symptoms of an enlarged prostate or BPH, the UroLift system is a proven alternative to BPH medication or invasive surgery. Visit urolift.com and click on Find a Physician to speak to a doctor to see if you're a candidate for the UroLift system.
Home values in Cincinnati are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked, so you're thinking about selling. It's time, except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial investors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while the value is high, but you stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Sounds smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, secure retirement, whatever you want. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 855